Crime and Tribunal, and in the far right end of the stage we have Mr. Wang Weishen, Senior Superintendent of Operations Bureau. Thank you. In the past 3 months, peaceful demonstrations have gradually descended into extreme violence, and the weapons used by protesters have become more and more deadly. They use weapons such as bricks, air guns, petrol bombs, and even sharpened metal posts to attack police officers. The risks faced by front officers are higher and higher, and they have to be vigilant at all times. Apart from violence that may happen in public events, we've noted that people with different views may end up in arguments and escalate to fights from time to time. As I said in the press conference in mid-August, people may like to express their views on walls or public places using posters or memo sticky notes on so-called lantern walls, and these places are relatively high-risk places because very often there can be arguments and fights and even assaults happening at such places, and this has spread to so-called human chains formed in the community. People may have different views, and they might be affected by noise of these activities, and they like to resort to violence to express their discontent. And the police are very concerned and worried about the law and all the issues associated with such activities. The rule of law is something we take pride in as part of our core value, and I don't think the public would like to see violence from any parties. Many people do not agree that we should resort to violence to express their aspirations, and they want calm to be restored in Hong Kong as soon as possible. To defend the rule of law and law and order in Hong Kong, we need the concerted efforts of everyone in Hong Kong. They should work with the police force to combat violence and stop the chaos. And I think we have reached a very pressing situation. In the past, the police have received views from the public asking for more channels to be provided for members of the community to provide information to help detect crimes. In response, we are now introducing 10 anti-violence hotlines to allow members of the public to give us intelligence to combat violence. And the purpose is to combat violence and to restore calm to Hong Kong as soon as possible. I must reiterate that we don't encourage people to go to scenes of violence in order to get such information. Rather, the hotlines are just another means to allow members of the public to provide information related to violence to the police. In an emergency, we still encourage members of the public to call the 999 hotline. Mr. Chen is going to provide more information on the anti-violence hotline in a moment. We also appreciate that the public are concerned about our allowing all police officers to carry extendable batons of duty. Mr. Chen will comment on this later. Now I'd like to defer to Mr. Kong to talk about the number of arrests in the past few days. Yes, I'd like to comment on the number of arrests. As Mr. Xi mentioned, we take all violence crimes very seriously, and we will fully investigate all these crimes in order to punish all the culprits. Last Friday, a reporter of an online media was attacked. And then earlier on, we have arrested one male aged 64 for assault or occasionally bodily harm at Yamate Wholesale Fruit Market, and we've asked our criminal crime unit of Yao Team to follow up. And then just yesterday, around 7 a.m., someone had a dispute with a human chained from outside a secondary school in Tuen Mun, and that man pointed a cutter at the students. The police, on receiving a report, arrived on the scene and arrested a 62-year-old man for possession of offensive weapon, and has been charged with 1 count of possession of offensive weapon, and he appeared in two-man magistracy this morning.
In the morning of yesterday, the 9th of September, a male appeared outside the school in Kowloon Bay, and an altercation ensued with students forming human chain outside, and the male wielded a 5-inch cutter, and when a teaching staff went forward to mediate, his hand or arm was cut, and the Sau Mau Ping criminal investigation team took over and checked the CCTV footage. Subsequently, the police went to the male's residence and arrested him for wounding. This 65-year-old male was brought to Kwun Tong Magistracy for mention for the charge of wounding. So much for the arrest details yesterday. There is also a court case that I'd like to refer to. On the 14th of July, a 22-year-old male was suspected of assaulting a police officer at Sha Tin New Town Plaza. Earlier on, we already laid charges against him, including disorderly conduct in a public place, assaulting a police officer, and wounding. And this afternoon, he was brought to Sha Tin Magistracy for mention. The police did not use ammunition yesterday, and in yesterday's operation, no police officer suffered an injury. Next, I'll give the floor to Superintendent Wong. Thank you. Next, I'd like to give you details in relation to the distribution of extendable batons to off-duty officers. I'd like to give you more details. First of all, I'd like to point out that for off-duty police officers, they can be equipped with police gear, and this is not a new arrangement. Some of our colleagues do have pistols with them round the clock, and I think this is understood by the public. In the face of operational needs, on a regular basis, the police does review the equipment provided to frontline police officers, and this also includes introducing or changing suitable equipment for police officers. In the past 3 months, in different violent protests, we've seen protesters escalating the use of violence, including the committing assaults, attacking different people, attacking police stations, public facilities, hurling of petrol bombs, and setting fires. These acts definitely pose a serious threat to public safety and order. In view of this, the police is of the view that there is a need to further equip police officers with appropriate equipment so that even when these police officers are off duty, in the face of emergency, if there is a need for them to execute their official duty, they can protect the public in a more direct and efficient manner. There are details relating to operational strategies, and these details cannot be disclosed at the press conference. In relation to the use of force by the police, all along we have laid down very clear guidelines and we have provided training to our officers. I'd like to reassure the public about this. So much for my report. Next, I'll take the floor to give you details about the new arrangements of the anti-violence hotline. With changes in society and the habits of the public, we, from time to time, review the different channels of receiving reports from the public. We also would like to receive information on combating crimes. Since the 1950s, we have set up the 999 hotline, and we have also set up other channels of reporting crimes. such as receiving letters or the hotline 25217171, and also various report rooms in police stations for receiving reports. And the police have been keeping up with the times with the use of social media to distribute anti-crime messages. For example, we have the police mobile app for public's downloading. We also have the police's Facebook page and Instagram. And in recent years, we've also set up a WeChat Instagram channel to disseminate anti-crime messages. With the recent social unrest in the past 3 months and the escalation of violence, we have received more and more requests from the public for the police to restore order in society, and there is also a wish for the police to disseminate anti-crime message and to allow more channels for the public to provide information to the public. And there is also a request for anonymous reports to be made to the police, and that is why we have set up 10 WhatsApp telephone hotlines. Starting from 5566-9500, there will be 10 different telephone lines, starting with 5566-9500 to 9509, with the last digits changing from, say, 9500 to 9501 all the way to 9509. These 10 WhatsApp telephone lines would receive reports on curbing violence and stopping the chaos. There is no need to make a pre-booking or registration. It can be used simply by sending a WhatsApp message. The only important thing is to look for a genuine police hotline number before sending the message. And there are several points we must note, and that is anti-violence information will be received only via this WhatsApp number, and we do allow the transfer of images and audio, visual materials. But it will not be highly interactive, and no update will be provided on the investigation of crime. For other normal reporting of crime, members of the public should approach the police stations or call 999 hotline. We have 10 WhatsApp telephone lines from 5566-9500 and then to 5566-9501 all the way to 9509. Another point is we will not ask for personal particulars via the number, and we will not disclose your particulars or the information you've provided to a third party. This is to facilitate the members of the public to provide intelligence and information to the police relating to the stopping of violence. So these are the specific WhatsApp telephone hotlines. For further inquiries, members of the public should go to our website, police.gov.hk, or approach our police stations nearby. We are providing additional WhatsApp telephone numbers, but this is not a new concept. As we mentioned, we do have different channels such as 999 hotline. Due to public inquiries, we are now providing additional channels for members of the public to provide information to us. Let me give some concluding remarks. Although during the day yesterday there were a handful of violent incidents due to different opinions, the police managed to swiftly bring the suspects to justice. But I believe many people would feel the calmness that we had last night had been something that had not been experienced for a long time. As I said yesterday, in order to maintain prosperity and safety in Hong Kong and to restore peace in Hong Kong, apart from the police's work, we also need cooperation from the public. I would appeal to all citizens to make good use of the hotlines so that we can curb violence and stop the chaos together. The police will continue to investigate different violent incidents in an impartial manner.
In certain incidents, we saw reckless destruction of properties and brutal attack on police officers. Apart from extensive road blockage, some protesters repeatedly charged police cordons with different kinds of offensive weapons, like bricks, long sticks, metal poles, and petrol bombs. As a result, our officers are constantly on heightened alert, on and off duty. In the community, many people post sticky notes on walls of pedestrian walkways to express their views. Very often, we see arguments break out at these locations, sometimes descending to fighting and assaults. Recently, we have also seen people forming human chains outside schools and residential neighborhoods. Differences in political views sometimes give rise to conflicts and even violent clashes. We certainly respect citizen freedom of speech and their rights to express their views. But we appeal to all members of the public to adopt a peaceful and rational means of expression in the interest of public safety. Just now, our officers just announced two new measures for the public and our officers to help restore public safety. Here, I'll briefly explain in English. First, in the interest of operational efficiency, we have approved all police officers to carry extendable batons of duty. We have seen an increase in the intensity and intensity of violence used by protesters. Their radical acts have intensified with more dangerous and sometimes deadly weapons used. Such violence has extended from protest sites to transport facilities like MTR stations and the Hong Kong International Airport. So in case of emergency, which is often unpredictable, there is a need for officers to better equip to respond to such situations. These new measures enable our officers to enforce the law and protect public safety even when they are off duty. Also, our officers will follow the strict internal guidelines on the use of force using these arms. As for the second measure, the police always appeal to members of the public to cut ties with violent and criminal elements. We hope the public will stand with us to stamp out violence. We must stop violence to safeguard Hong Kong's core value, the rule of law. Many citizens have different ideas and suggestions on how to restore Hong Kong public safety. We certainly welcome their views. Therefore, we have set up 10 WhatsApp telephone hotlines for citizens to report some non-urgent violent incidents. We hope, through these new measures, members of the public can come together to combat violence. Now I'll move on to arrest figures. Yesterday, we arrested one 62-year-old man for possession of offensive weapons and one 65-year-old man for wounding. They were involved in violent incidents outside secondary school on two separate occasions. And a 64-year-old man was also arrested for assault occasioning actually bodily harm. He was involved in a violent incident against an online media reporter in Yau Ma Tei area on 6th of September. In conclusion, yesterday was relatively peaceful with only minor clashes. Our officers strictly arrest the offenders and restore public order. I believe most people would long for peace in society. We must reject violence to restore safety. It takes two to tango. Both the police and the public have a role to play in restoring public safety. We hope citizens will make good use of the anti-violence hotline to report information on acts of violence. In the meantime, we will continue to enforce the law professionally and impartially. Thank you.